Welcome, guys, back to our
Real Love Scenario.
Shout out to all our real lovers out there.
Hi.
I'm excited to be back. Like I tell you, this is my happy place.
Man, it's always a good time. Always a good time. And we get to really catch up because Dre and I are both pretty busy. So we also get to just have some quality friend time. So our tapings are always a little lengthy because we need to catch up on life and all the good things. So it's just overall a great time on camera and off camera.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
How was your week?
It was. What did I do? Oh man, days start to just jumble together. I don't even know what I did.
Okay.
I know I was able to go out for the first time in a long time and just kind of enjoy out some time with friends and stuff like that. So that was really cool.
Good.
But yeah, other than that, just working and grinding, and
Getting
I have
it done.
a busy February. This is Valentine's Day. Actually, this day that people will be listening to this.
Yes.
It's Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's
Happy Valentine's
Day.
Day.
Dang, we didn't have no red or nothing.
I know.
The love is inside.
It is inside.
The love is inside.
Yes.
Shout out to all our real lovers. We love you very much.
We do. Happy
Thank
Valentine's
you.
Day to you guys.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, this week on is going to be a lot
yeah.
for the rest of this month. But
That's
good stuff.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah. How was your?
It was good. My week was
I
good.
need to figure out where else they do that orchestra at. So Rhonda
yes.
went to a Black Panther Wakanda
Yes.
orchestra or symphony, I guess.
Yes.
is called.
It was It was the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra at the Joseph Meyerhoff in Baltimore. And they did the full showing of Black Panther, so the original film,
They showed the whole film.
the whole film. And they
wow.
played the entire score live. It was
That's insane.
incredible. And one of my friends, it was her first time seeing Black Panther. So I'm like, yo, to see it like this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm jealous that you get to see it like this. It was so good. Shout out to the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. I mean, music is so great, and I think most people love it. But live instrumentation, especially extremely technical instruments like violins and cellos, things that you really have to know how to read music for the most part to play them.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, just incredible. And they had the original percussionist who did the films. He was playing the talking drum, and he was a soloist for the show. It was so good. I was mesmerized.
I need to figure out when
it's
that.
coming.
Yeah.
Well, the last show
It's today. Or
yes,
I guess
it's tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
Tonight in our real
In our
time,
world,
not in time
yes.
that you're watching it. But yes, go tonight if
I
you
would
can.
do it at a different city. Like I want to do it with Bree. So
Okay.
I would even go to a different city if it was like in Philly or something like that, which I think I saw maybe in March. I would definitely do that. Just
and
make
the
a trip
conductor
out of
was
it.
Black, which was amazing because there are not a lot of Black people in orchestras in general. And he's in LA. He's from LA, so it'll probably travel. I'm sure it's traveling.
So dope.
Yeah,
So
it was
dope.
good. It was good. Check it out.
Well, it sounds like you had a great week.
I did.
I'm super excited to get back to talking to our real lovers. I want to shout everybody out because our reviews keep growing. We're over the 200 mark now, so that's
Okay,
good on
I see
Apple
y'all.
Podcasts. 207. We want to keep that going. Keep the reviews rising.
Push it out.
But
push
I'm
it
going to
out.
read one of our 5-star reviews here. It's from Elizabeth764. The subject or title says "Love It" here with the heart emoji, the little greater than less than thing, and the 3.
Oh, the old school one.
Yeah, the old school one.
Nice.
Hey, Dre and Rhonda. Heart.
Hey.
Love you guys and the positive, self-aware, growth-minded content you promote. I appreciate the duality of having logical, sensible perspectives from a woman and a man on topics that we typically don't interact and share about across genders. It's very beneficial, especially in the age of gender wars, specifically in the Black community.
Ooh.
I am a young woman and not currently in a relationship, but using the information you guys provided to prepare myself when I'm ready to take that next step. I always recommend this podcast to people. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you, Liz.
Thank you so
Look,
much.
I'm calling you Liz. You my friend. Thank you. That was
Shout out
so
to our real
good.
lovers. That's what I said. We love our people here, man.
That was great. That's probably like, I always say this, like that was my favorite one, but that was so good. And I think it's the idea that like what we do, it counters what a lot of other people do, and it's no shade. We all are here with our own angles and our own missions. But one of the things that I think is important to both of us is trying to get people to really understand that like we are better together than apart. We should
sure.
not be adversaries, and family matters and even singleness matters, but it is all a matter of like doing it in a cohesive, harmonious way. So that was so good. Thank you, girl.
No, I love that. And she says she's a younger woman. And I think that although every generation before you will always talk about, back in our day and how we did this. And there's some truth to that because with social media, with the emergence of technology, some things have changed. And I don't think they have all changed for the better or the effects of them have been for the better.
Correct.
But one thing about a younger generation is that they have learned to become more self-aware and building up themselves, and self-love and wellness and things like that. So I applaud her for, just taking that initiative and trying to be better, even not in a relationship, try to take these things and implement them, see how they could have helped her in past relationships, see how it will shape her future relationships. Like all that stuff is important. And a lot of people tend to ignore that stuff or don't want to look at themselves in the mirror and say, what could I do better? But for her to be in a position where she wants to do that, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was so good. I am going to get that one so I can save it and revisit that often. That's great.
For sure. Okay, let's hop into our real life love scenario.
Let's do it.
So for those who don't know, there's a man by the name of Shannon Sharpe. He is a Hall of Fame tight end. He used to play for the Denver Broncos. However, now he hosts a show called Undisputed with Skip and Shannon on Fox. But Uncle Shannon Sharpe, some people call him Unc because he like a black
definitely
uncle.
Black old uncle country energy. Black uncle. Yes.
Got the whole cliches and sayings and all that stuff. So good. But he has a podcast called Club Shay Shay, and he had Chad Ochocinco on, and Chad basically asked him first. Let me say this. I always like when interviews flip sometimes.
Me too.
Like when the guests start asking the person questions. So that's what was basically this situation, because it makes it feel like more of a conversation, not an interview.
Yeah.
So in this conversation, Chad Ochocinco basically asked Shannon Sharpe, like, what are your views on marriage? Because Shannon is not married. And basically Shannon, to make a long story short, you can watch this on YouTube, but basically Shannon was like, at the age of 55, essentially throughout his time playing football and when he was younger, he was married to his career and he was married to football. That was his first love. That was his only love, which didn't make him a good brother, didn't make him a good father, wouldn't have made him a good boyfriend, because he was married to that. And his thought process was that he was just trying to grind to get his family out the situation that they were in, which is commendable and people understand. But he says now as he gets older, he understands there's no point of having all these things if you don't have someone to actually share it with.
Very correct, Unc.
So I just thought that was very interesting, and I thought that and it's funny, me and my cousin yesterday when we were talking about like some people that we know, like would they ever get married, and they're like older men, very successful and stuff like that, and it just poses that question, like how do you find that balance, of like I'm grinding, I'm great at my career, I'm awesome in the space that I'm in, but at what cost? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like I think it's to some degree, it's actually very commendable that he knew that at that time, because unfortunately, like you have people that are on the flip side of that. Like I think about Shaquille ONeal, who also very candidly in an interview on, I think it was I Am Athlete. He talked about being married to Shaquille ONeal and how he was not a good husband. And there was lots of infidelity, and she really did nothing wrong in that marriage. She just married a person who just really wasn't ready for that, was not able to commit and be the husband that he vowed to be before God. And so looking at Shannon's life and hearing what he said, I think it's admirable that he was honest to say, at that time, I really just couldn't do that. And I knew that. So it's cool that he stood up really for himself in that way, instead of looking at it like, damn, he really should have figured it out and tried to have a wife. No, he was being honest and saying, like, I'm not going to, my wife is football. And that is my focus. And I'm not going to drag a woman along on something that I know I'm going to be bad at. So I think it's cool. And I do think like you can, if you really want love and you want marriage or you want companionship, you really should do it when you're ready, no matter at what age that is. You don't have to do it at 25 if you know you're not ready at 25. If you're really not ready until you're 60, then wait until you're 60 so that it is the best possible relationship it could be. You'll probably increase your chances of it being your first and only, your first and last. It'll probably be healthy for both parties because, well, you both really want it. Instead of following what people tell you to do, well, you're 20 something, you need to get married, you need to start a family, you need to blah, 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 blah. Like, no, do things when you're ready to do them. So I thought that it was very honest, but admirable at the same time.
Yeah, when you step into things when you're not ready, it's a lot of collateral damage that comes with that.
Absolutely.
It's like, of course, you might be fine because it's your decision of what you want to do, but the people that you have kind of dragged along with you can do a lot of damage
You
to
do
those
a lot of
people.
damage, yeah.
Because sometimes I've been in this situation where you think you're ready and you want to be ready, but you're just not ready. Like
Yeah.
in your mind, you're like, yeah, I want this and I think I could do this, but deep down, like you're not ready
You're
for it.
not
So,
ready. Yeah.
but it's tough because when it comes to being great at something and you hear that so much. I've read Mamba Mentality, which is Kobe's book. When you hear people like a Kobe, like a Michael Jordan, those athletes, and it's like, what's your dedication level? You got to give up everything. You got to fully commit.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to be great, this is what it takes. And it's like, is that the only way?
Right. I don't think so. I don't think so because it's just a matter of having the right people around you who can ebb when you flow, who can flow when you ebb. I mean, for using Kobe, and Kobe's was married for most of his career, and that marriage had challenges that we saw publicly. At some point, they were going to get divorced and all of that. So it's obvious that it's challenging to be supportive to a great person. Like it's probably easier when you're just like good. Like you in the NFL, but we don't really talk about you. You just getting your regular check.
For sure.
So your lifestyle at home might be easier, but when someone is great, it's not just the games. It's the time that they need to prepare their bodies and the conditioning, the mental conditioning. So your person is probably checked out most of the time. Or it's like when kids go to school, they go to school for most of the months of the year, and then you get to summertime. It's like you probably really only get your best husband when the season is out, and not even the whole time, because at some
if they're a
point
star, they
getting back into conditioning.
Everybody else is like, this is when they're free too, so they're doing this.
They're
and
doing
that,
endorsements and commercials and interviews and
all types of stuff.
It's a lot. So I think it's possible, but I think it's very, very hard. And your partner has to be someone who is extremely self-sufficient and not codependent on you always being in the mix. And I don't think most people are like that. Most people aren't like that.
Yeah, I think it's an intentionality thing. Like even one of my mentors, he's so big on scheduling. Like everything is scheduled out because he needs to make sure he spends time with his family and his kids. Yeah. And even when I read Kobe's book, he was talking about sacrifice. Like something has to be sacrificed. And he was like, well, I want to be great at basketball, so I'm not sacrificing working out and stuff like that and getting better. And then he was like, I want to spend time with my wife and kids, and I can't sacrifice that time because it's trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
So he was like, so sleep was what I sacrificed. I ain't sleep a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm getting so choked up about Kobe because I feel like him retiring, I think he really looked forward to that so that he could make up for that
the
time.
amount of time he spent with his daughter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he talked about that in the book, and he was like, he used to work out at like 3 a.m. because his kids are asleep. So he knows that he could work out then in the morning. And then when they wake up, he can see them, maybe take them to school, like all that stuff. And it's just like, something has to be sacrificed. But the biggest thing with reading his book is he talked about balance. And I'm like, balance is just such a perfect word. And on the surface, it's like, oh yeah, balance. But when you think about balancing, if you're on a tightrope, it's not just standing on one side or standing on the other side. You're constantly leaning
Standing
to the
on both
left,
sides.
leaning to the right, leaning to the left, leaning to the right. It's like an ongoing, constant thing. Because if you try to lean to the right too much, you end up falling. Try to lean to the left too much, you end up falling. So it's always trying to level out. And it's hard to maintain that, but it's a constant thing that you have to deal with. So I thought that was just a perfect example.
No, for sure.
And even talking about that made me think about even like Michelle and Barack and that, what they went through. It's like, it's tough. I can imagine that somebody supporting that type of person, when you know that person is achieving something that's like historic, and they are becoming an icon or something like that in what they're doing. So you don't want to stunt that, and you don't want to hamper that or put a damper on that, but you also understand the needs that you have and the things that you're going through. So trying to manage that on the other side, I can imagine is a challenge.
It's a challenge. Yeah. I can't even, like you said, you try to imagine it, but I've never had to. And I don't even know that I would have successfully been able to be in a marriage with someone who is so committed to something outside of the house. So, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And not just the great person, but also their support systems. They are given much. You are given a amazing life and access and all of these things, but much is required in order to keep and maintain that. So, gosh, rest in peace to Kobe. That one always hurts so much, because he really, it's almost as if like he became the player that he was for so many years in his household. Once he retired, it was like, now I'm like
being the
super
best
dad,
possible,
super husband. Like, we about to take this to the next level. I'm grooming my daughter. It's just, oh my gosh, it sucks so badly. But I commend Shannon for knowing that he wasn't ready. And I think if he does still want that for his life, he's got time, surely now, to explore that.
Yeah.
He made kids, he got children. So you was out there doing a little something, you know? So perhaps you're more mature now and you can have that for your life.
Yeah, for sure. I think kids always makes it a lot more challenging. Because a lot of times, if you don't have kids and you with somebody, they can come with you to this or go with you to that. But when you got the kids, that's when it makes it tough.
More
but
hard,
yeah, shout out to everybody out there. We hope that if you're in a situation like that, that you figure out the balance. Even if it's just a regular like job, or, you know, just in some way in your relationship, trying to find a balance. We hope that you can figure that out and communicate and work your way through that.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to do our real love scenario?
Let's do it. All right. Today we have a write-in from Anonymous. Notice how y'all like being anonymous. Y'all really like being anonymous. Except for Greg. Shout out to Greg. Greg, where you at, Greg? I want to update Greg. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Hi, I love the show and listen to every new episode. The advice you offer is very insightful, and I apply some advice to my relationship.
Thank you.
I have a scenario which I had not heard discussed before in your show regarding non-negotiables in relationships. I'm trying to determine the fine line between when your needs are not being met in a relationship and when your desires are becoming nitpicking. I've been with a guy for a total of 7 months now. We were dating for 4 months before we made it an official relationship. I'm not a person that requires constant validation from my partner, but I do like to know that I am thought of. A part of my love language, I love talking to my partner at least twice daily. A good morning text or call suffices, and a catch up in the day or in the evening to talk about our day. As the relationship was still new, I have communicated my desire to my partner, and he stated he would be more intentional about it. I even tried initiating the good morning text because I know he is busy with work. However, there are times he responds or other times he will not respond, leave me on red, and then call me in the evening, sometimes almost 8 p.m. I post daily affirmations on my IG stories and see him sometimes in the views, but yet he's never responded to me. It gets under my skin. However, I try to see if I'm overreacting because I do consider that we at least talk daily. I tried to take a deeper look at why it bugs me so much. Then I realized sometimes his communication overall is not the best. Like if we have plans, he is dependable, but the time we go out is up in the air. And sometimes it's hard to get an answer of our exact plans. Another scenario was when he was out of the country. He could not provide me with an idea on his return date until I got frustrated and expressed my concerns with him. At that time, I told him I like transparency and communication, even if you have something going on before our plans or maybe you have other obligations. I can only understand when you share that with me. Otherwise, I'm in the dark and I'm forced to put together my own conclusions. I know when we focus on the negative, that's all we tend to see in our partner. So I have even created my own list of things I love about him. To name a few, he is caring, he is receptive to feedback, he never dismisses my feelings, and he makes time for our relationship twice a week without me asking. He is an affectionate person, and he also encourages me to go for my dreams. So the question is this communication issue small compared to the bigger scope? And should I learn to understand him or let it go? Understand him to let it go, or should I make a discussion on if the relationship will work in the long run?
Well, thank you for writing that, Anonymous.
Thank you so much.
So much to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's a few things to dig into on this one.
So let's start in the beginning. I have a question for you, because I think that this really speaks to what having a boyfriend or girlfriend like actually means. And at what point do you start to expose and divulge certain information? And what point do you start to adapt to what they want versus staying how you are? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you get in a talking phase with somebody and you're like, oh, okay, it's nice to meet this person. It's cool. Like, we're having this thing. All right, now we're official. Some people, once you're official, I'm your emergency contact now. Like, we are fully, I need to meet your family and friends. Like, I need to, like, you need to share with me all your plans and when you're doing stuff and when you're not doing stuff. But some people just see that as, okay, now we're saying we're committed, but we're still working and certain layers still have to be unfolded, and we're still gradually, you know, putting walls down and letting you in. So I wonder to you, like, what's your perspective on that? You know, because when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, there's a certain point to where there are things that are wrong in relationships, but then there's also things that are particular to the person that you're with.
Right.
And if you don't see a future with the person, when do you start to actually adapt to try to really change and be what that person wants, you know, versus staying who you are? Because who you are isn't necessarily wrong. It's just not necessarily what they would want in somebody in a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a hard question to just have a definitive answer to, but I think if you know at some point, which I think you know within the first year, if you're really wanting a committed relationship, you know, if you've committed to a person at that time, at that moment, you believe that you're going to go the full distance with them. I think once you know that, because that could happen 6 months and 8 months in, you know that you're going to go the full distance with them. I'm not saying that you should just start adjusting everything that, like, who you are to accommodate what makes them comfortable. But I think that's when you really start to take it into true consideration. Like, okay, like you really think on it. Like, you're like, okay, she doesn't like when I, you know, don't respond to her text messages. But that's just who I am. I'm bad at texting.
Yeah.
Can I just, is there room for it? Like, I really, if it's making her this upset, like, this is going to be my wife, you know? So can I at least make an attempt to adjust? I think the best part is that you try instead of dismiss it. You just at least attempt to try.
But so first, number one, we're going to break down Rhonda. And see if we can get some parallels here. So first, you've had boyfriends. Have you had a consistent, like, when you've actually like made it official, like a kind of consistent mark of when that has happened?
Yeah.
Or has it been like more sporadic?
No, it's usually between like the 3 and 6 month mark.
3 and 6 month mark. Okay. So once that happens, what is your expectation at that? Like, what does that mean to you? Like, hey, we're committed or we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Is that like, keep me updated where you are, share your location? Like, all, like, what type of...
Not necessarily sharing my location. I did do that in one relationship, and it was fine. You know, I didn't feel any type of way about it. But I think for me, commitment means like I am your priority around consideration if you don't have children. Like, so your dates, for the most part, probably begins and ends with me. I do have touch points with you throughout the day. They could look different. You know, some mornings it might start with a call. Other mornings it might start with text or FaceTime or whatever. But you're like my go-to person and I'm like your go-to person. And then we we have a plan, not like rigid, but we have a plan to consistently prioritize spending time together.
Yeah.
So like I'm seeing you regularly, more than one time a week. Like, but your emergency contact, no, not at the not when we first decide to commit. I don't even think a person should be your emergency contact if you don't know like their social security number. You don't know like these really important
things
details
that
about them.
that an emergency contact should know.
That yes, like you can't even get them to access my medical records because you really don't know that much about me yet.
What's their mom's maiden name?
You like I don't even know the mother's first name. It never matter.
I just call her moms.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's overall it is. I am your primary priority, again, if you don't have kids. So it is checking in with me and me checking in with you. It is regular and consistent communication. It is me really being able to have a free flow of like access to you that I can probably question if your moves are different, or I can say things like, well, what are you doing after work? Even if I don't have plans to do anything with you, but I'm just curious, like, what you doing when you get off, or what are you up to right now? So yeah, it's just this open access because we're primary priorities for each other.
Got you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's important to talk about because they haven't been together
7 months.
that long.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like they're like living together or anything.
Nope.
So, that then tends to make a process even longer as far as getting to know somebody. And then the expectation for communication outside of seeing each other becomes a lot higher too, because you're not with each
You
other
don't live in the same house
every day. So that's why I thought that was important to like kind of, as we set this foundation for like, oh, this person should tell me where he is and communicate more and be more transparent about his plans and stuff like that. I just wonder like with some people, their expectations of what being in a relationship actually means, because you guys may not have the same viewpoint on what official means and how much to divulge at what time.
Yeah. And I will say it is much harder to shed individuality when you still live in separate spaces. That's much harder to let go of, because I probably more days than not, I wake up by myself.
Yep.
I go to bed by myself. So there's no one here to accommodate other than me. So like accommodating you where in your home is and it takes an action.
Yeah.
Where like if we woke up in the same bed, saying good morning it would almost be rude not to, because you in the same room with me.
Yes.
So it's harder to have certain expectations of consideration like that when you're not in the same household. It's just, I could have woke up and my stomach was hurting. I could have woke up and it was a text from my mom from the night before that I missed because I was asleep. And that's what I prioritized because it was the first thing I saw when I woke up.
Or I just woke up late and I'm like,
and I'm rushing to get to work, or
like,
I'm jumping on a meeting, or, it's so many things are happening when you're by yourself sometimes that your partner cannot see. And yes, would it be nice for them to be communicated to about it? Yes, but once I'm finished with it, you know what I mean? Like in the midst of it, it's not like I don't care about you. It's just at this moment, all I see is what I see. I see what's right here, and you're not right here right now. So yeah, I've been in a relationship where we were living separately and I didn't text good morning. It was because something else was going on.
Yeah.
Something else was, I have been woken up out of my sleep 15, 20 minutes before I had to get up to the dog throwing up. Like that's what woke me up out of my sleep. So for the next hour, I am tending to the pet, cleaning up after it, and not even thinking to grab my phone and be like, good morning, babe.
Yeah.
No, I'm pissed. I'm irritated. My morning's thrown off. Like, so yeah, it's harder to immediately consider someone consistently day in and day out when you don't live in the same household. It's just harder.
And I guess I'll ask you, because you said that you feel like you need to become a priority when you make it official. But I feel like a lot of times, even if I make it official, let's say at the 4-month mark, although I have a priority list.
Yeah.
And you may not be number one because I'm not going to jeopardize the trajectory of my life currently if I'm not even sure completely if you're going to be somebody who's going to be along for the ride of that life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I have something going on and it's a work thing, I might tend to that work thing before I think about you, because at the end of the day, you could leave me tomorrow. I still need to work and pay my bills and pay my rent and stuff like that. So I think with the 7-month, 4 months dating, 7-month relationship, that's something you just got to take into consideration, is that although you may be a priority, you're probably not number one on that list.
Yeah, not quite yet.
Or two at this moment, but gradually as the relationship grows, and that will naturally tend to shift.
Absolutely.
If things are going in the right direction.
And that we ain't even get into you dating a person that might have a child.
Yeah. Then the priority thing is all
over the place.
All over the place.
Yes.
So it's funny, and we can dive into, kind of the rest of this and unpacking it. But I think it's funny that like people always say what they would do in certain situations until they're actually in a situation.
True.
Right? Like, I would never do that. Or I could never do but until you there,
right,
you don't know what you're going to do.
No clue.
So I always find it funny. Like, I feel like once you get in a relationship, that's when you truly figure out what your non-negotiables and negotiables are.
That's how you shape them.
Like,
you have to experience them to be like, oh, hell no. Never again for that. But now I experienced it. Yes.
Or the thing you thought, like, I would never put up with, but then you like,
putting up with it. You're like, it's not that bad. It's really not that crazy.
All things considered, it's not that crazy.
You deal with it.
It is just funny because I feel like that's what she's like now coming to terms with and coming to grips with and trying to figure out. It's like, prior to this relationship, I thought that I wanted this, I thought I wanted that, but now you're forced to now figure out, does good morning text, how much does that mean to you?
Yeah.
Is that a non-negotiable thing?
Yeah.
Or is it, something that you are willing to cave in on and give in on? And I think it's always interesting to try to find the balance of, this is something that is like a non-negotiable and is something like wrong to do in a relationship, versus this is something that triggers me from something that happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do I not like good morning text because, or do I want a good morning text or not like when he texts back because it's just the wrong thing to do? Or I feel like, it's just something that you shouldn't do.
He's doing something.
Or is it like in the past, something like this has occurred and it's making me think that this is a sign of what could come later down the road.
Yeah.
So
no,
I feel like
I think that is so real. And sometimes I feel like non-negotiable is like such a big term for something like this, because I think it's more just like a preference. This to me would fall just in the category of like a preference. And listen, I'm a person that likes to feel considered by my person, or like in the morning, if they're up in the morning. I do really like that idea that, we're here thinking about each other while we're getting ourselves together for our days. I think it's sweet. But that's just a preference, right? I would not even consider it a negotiable or a non-negotiable. I would never hard set good morning text messages for like my person. Like, if you don't text me in the mornings, this relationship might not work. Like no. Like it would have to be way broader. Like, like I do expect an acknowledgement in the early part of the day, right?
Sure.
So that could be by 12 or 1 o'clock in the day. And then at that point, for the most part, it's just a touch point so that I know not just that you're thinking of me, but that you're okay. And if we're good, like I like you, you like me, there's nothing weird going on. I've had to say this to some of my girlfriends who I think sometimes I like to be courted too. So I get it. But it's okay for you to initiate the communication. And she said that she even did that. She took the step to do it, so that she's saying like, this is something that I like. But I've had friends be like, he don't ever text me good morning. And it's like, he could say the same thing because you don't ever text him good morning. Like, it's so what in his head, does it really matter? Because neither of you really do it consistently. So I just think it's really a safety thing after a while, especially if we created a pattern. If we created a pattern that you always do this, and then there's a day comes up and you don't, after so much time, I might think something's wrong. But you know how I can easily find that out is I can initiate communication. I can call you, or I can text you. I could be like, hey, missed your text this morning. I think sometimes we need to figure out how to communicate what we don't like in a sweet way. And not do it in a way that's like an attack. Like, why you not texting me good morning now all of a sudden? Instead of being like, oh, babe, I missed your good morning text today, but I hope you had a great morning. I don't know if anything went wrong with your day, but if so, I hope it's off to a better start. Like sometimes when this is a person you really like, again, it's all about solution-oriented communication. You should be communicating with the purpose of solving something, not blowing something up. So you attract more bees with sugar with honey than vinegar. It's like, be sweet about it, because he'll probably see it and be like, oh my gosh, babe, yeah, I'm sorry. My morning was hectic. I got my boss called me first thing this morning and I just got straight into it. But I appreciate that you were thinking of me, and I'll talk to you on my break. Like, that's how you do that. That's how you do that.
For sure. I posted on my story the other day that relationships are work. It was posted on a relationship restore page, but relationships are work. Don't just leave a relationship because it takes work. Like, the person you with is not going to be the same as you. They're not going to look at things the same as you. They're not going to have the same, hopefully they have the same values and morals, I would say, but they're not going to have the same preferences as you, like Rhonda just said. So you have to understand that something like a good morning text, like for me, why I gotta text you every morning? You know what I'm saying? Like and we've been 7 months every day. I gotta text you good morning. Like, that's repetitive. Like, I talk to you, we talk. Like, somebody may not see that as a big deal, and you got to think of intent a lot of times when it comes to these things. It's like, if you talk to somebody and they say like, I'll try to keep it in mind. Honestly, for me, I just don't see it as that big of a deal. Like, but I understand that you want this. When they're saying that, that doesn't mean as soon as they acknowledge it, every day after that, they're going to say
you're going to get it. No.
Because in their head, it's not that high of a priority.
It's not.
It's not. They don't care.
Nope.
Like, but they're going to try to do it for you, but they don't really care. So it's at moments they're going to try. So you can't, like, every day, if they don't do it, get pissed off, because it takes time for somebody to make an adjustment. Like, even for me, I don't care about days. Like, holidays, birthdays, I can care less. It's just another day. I don't think you should go broke and spend a whole bunch of money for a day. Like, I think it's just, I don't need a gift. I don't like just getting stuff just to get stuff. If you think somebody would like something, or somebody, you're like, they would like this, get it. Like, but I was talking to Bree the other day, and she was like, oh, for Valentine's Day, what do you want? And I'm like, well, I'm not big on days anyway, but if you just ask me what I want, then it's like, basically you're like, hey, here's this thing that you're getting for this day. It's exactly what you want. What you wanted. And it's like, no, I'd rather, if we're going to do the day, make it a surprise. Like, I don't know, like, come up with something.
Right.
But I don't care about days, but I understand that the person that I'm with and a lot of other people may care about days, and birthdays may be big to them, or holidays like Christmas or Valentine's Day may be big to them. It's not that one of us are wrong.
Right. Neither of you are wrong.
It's just preferences.
That's it.
And the person who doesn't have that as a preference, just naturally on the priority list, is not going to be super high on them as it is for you. So they're going to slip on it. They may be late to buying the gift because they're like, oh, shoot, that joint is
it's Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh. Woo.
So your gift may be a little like thrown together, because not that they don't acknowledge that it means a lot to you, but when they have like all these things on their list of things to do, that just ain't a priority. Like you said, you wake up in the morning, you got all this stuff going on. If I got Mr. Good Morning text, I got Mr. Good Morning text. Like, I got, like, it's not that big of a deal. But where to you, you're like waiting up, and then it's like lunchtime, and you're like checking your girlfriend. Like, I don't know if it's something wrong. Like, I don't know why he don't just hit me up in the morning. Like, you don't wake up thinking about me. I wake up thinking about him. Like, and it's like, to him, it may not even be that deep.
Right. And he probably was totally thinking about you, but that didn't move him to communicate with you. I'm not saying, like, whatever you like, and you hope that the person that you like can adjust to your preferences, but the possibility is there that they won't be able to adjust to all of your preferences. They might be able, if you have 10, they might be able to meet 8 of them. And those 2 you really might have to chalk up as like, it just is what it is. I'd like it that she acknowledged that she really looked at it and was like, he's kind of bad with communication in general.
I'm one of them people. I'm horrible at it. And I'm trying to get better at texting back people when they text me. I'm the person, if I open a message and don't respond immediately, I will forget
Probably won't
about that
respond. I
joint.
just had this talk with my mom yesterday.
Like, I
Yes.
wish text messages had mark unread like emails, because if I open that text, it's 50-50 if you gonna get something back, because if I don't respond in that moment and other ones start flooding through,
Yep.
I will completely forget.
I am good for going through my text and being like, oh my, I never even responded to that. That's crazy. Like, I feel terrible. And then I'm like, hey, I know that was 3 days ago. I am so sorry. I apologize.
The normal excuse, sorry, I had a lot going on. It was a busy week. It was, you know.
You know what? A thing that I was going to say when you were talking about like the holidays and different days not being important to people, putting it in the same category of like preferences. Something that I have done, I live and die by my calendar for the most part. Something like you said your mentor does. I have even sometimes put like things on my calendar that are just like reminders in order to do something that I won't naturally
Really
do
yeah.
because it's good for whomever like I'm doing it for. So like my mom watches like typical mom, a typical retired mom. She home watching all the sales,
Stories.
all the shops, all the 25% off this eye cream, and they're having buy two get one free on the purses on the Today Show. And she always sees something that she wants to buy, and she'll text it to me when she's watching it, and then she'll say like later. Later means she's not ready to purchase it right now. We'll deal with it later. So 2 things I do. I say, Mom, please remember to remind me what later means for you, right? Because I don't know if later means later today, later this week. I don't know what it means to her. But what I'm telling you is right now, I read this text message. And if you expect me to remember to remind you about this purchase, it's not going to happen, right? So if you really want this item, you better tell me about it again. Sometimes though, I will put it on my calendar, says like mom text purchase. And that might pop up 6 hours from now.
Yeah.
So that when I'm not at work, when I'm probably home and I'm just doing some downtime, that'll pop up. And then I can text my mother and be like, hey, you sent me that text earlier with the purses, the 2 for 1. Do you want to do it right now? You know, so same thing in a relationship. I think that if your person's preference keeps coming up and it's something that they really can't let go, you may have to really do the string around your finger type of thing. If it's on your desk or whatever, to just be like, text baby good morning, or text baby have a good day. You know, try to do that 3 times a week. I don't really know, but doing something that you're not naturally inclined to do, sometimes you got to take some measures to do it if, again, it's really important to your person. Just like Valentine's Day, it's the same day every single year. In fact, most of our phones have it already set as a holiday, but it's not going to pop up for you. It's only going to show it on the day that it is. So you might have to go into your calendar, put an alert on there that it tells you about that 2 weeks before the day. So that then you're not scrambling the day before or the day of like, oh shit, it's Valentine's Day. You might have to back into these things so that you don't forget, right? And then it doesn't become a thing, because it don't matter to me, but I'm in a relationship. So what matters to me is not the only thing that has to matter to me. What matters to you matters to me too, within reason. As long as it's not breaking my back or you trying to make me be something that I'm not, I'm happy to adjust, because relationships require adjustments. They just do.
When your partner is struggling with being consistent with something, you can't look at it from the lens of how you approach that same thing. You think about something that you struggle with and how you have trouble with it. That's what that is for them. So it's like, if you have trouble committing to going to the gym, and when you wake up in the morning, if you wake up a little late or you tired, you like, I ain't going. Like, if that's your struggle and that's something you want to do is go to the gym, but you struggle with being consistent with it for whatever reason, that's the same struggle that your partner is having, just in a different area, that something may not be as a priority to them. It may be hard to remember to continue to do it or stay consistent. Because that's the thing that I think we struggle with sometimes, is because something comes easy to us, we feel like it should come easy to the person that we're with. And you see it as so simple, and how could you not do that? How could you say you think about me all the time and not text me in the morning, or you wake up thinking about me and don't want to, just because that's how you feel and that's your love language and that's how you receive love and give love. And it's like, that's just not your
That's
person.
not how it, yeah. That's not, they're not you.
They're not you.
Yes.
Which is honestly a good thing. Like, that's one thing I learned with being with Breed. It's like, all this time I thought I had to find somebody like me, but the person that's different than me is the person that's best for me, because we complement each other. You don't want two hot dogs. You want a hot dog and a hot dog bun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want something to complement one another.
You know, someone said on YouTube, Dre got the best metaphors. I agree with you for sure. Dre has the best. So you need somebody a little different from me. You know, you don't want two hot dogs. You want a hot dog and a hot dog bun. Absolutely, poof, makes perfect sense. It's not a hot dog if I don't have the bread. Like, what is it really? You know? So you're right, Dre. That's a great one.
It made me think of a Biggie lyric, but I think that's a little too explicit to
okay.
in the 10 crack commandments.
YouTube is cracking down on that that explicit
I'll
stuff.
blank it out like the Proud Family, that one thing. It's 10 crack commandments. This is explicit, but whatever. We're down this road now.
Yeah, let's do it.
But it's Biggie explaining the commandments of selling crack.
Yes.
And I forgot which one it was, but it's the line is money and blood don't mix, like two and no. Find yourself in serious.
Yes.
First, that's a bar.
That is a bar.
That's a bar.
That's good.
That's a bar.
Shout out to Biggie, one of my favorite rappers. I would say top 3 for me.
Yes.
Absolutely. Birthday coming up soon.
Did you get the blinks?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I know the song. Who you talking to? Talking to me.
Yeah, I forgot. My bad.
Come on now. Of course I know that. I would say the words, but we're not doing that. We gotta make this money off these videos, okay? We can't have them coming down.
But that's a bar.
Yes,
but
it is.
when we said 2 hot dogs, that's where my mind went.
That's where you got it.
You get what I'm saying now?
No pun intended. Show this to Bree. Show this to Bree. We got to get her on the pun intended train.
We do. Yeah. So
listen, I wanted to move into the social media part, right?
Okay.
Because she talks about how she might text him, he don't respond, but then she see him on Instagram. Ooh, now listen. Now, sis, I was pushing back on you a little bit and going with him with the give him a little, cut him a little slack.
What's interesting with this scenario though is that like certain parts of it, I'm like, you got to give him a little grace, and I'm like, well, but then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I don't know, but
yeah,
maybe,
that one, I am sorry. And we are all guilty of it. Let me say that.
Yes, we all do.
All guilty of
being
on social media when there's something in your phone, like in your text that was there first. And for me, I know people say it's not the same, but I disagree. I cannot delete messages off my phone. Like I can delete messages, but the function messages, I can't remove it. Yeah. It's a permanent function of the phone, just like the phone itself, the dial pad and all. I can't delete that. Anything that I can download and delete is not a priority to those other 2 things. So to me, you not responding to something over text or I call or something like that, but then I see you on social media, yes, I do get immediately agitated. Now, I may not say anything about it. I may not address it, but I noticed it and I don't like it because I feel like if you had time to be over here, then I feel like you probably had time to send back if I said, hey, how's your day? But you online scrolling, you had time to be like, my day's cool. My day's okay. How's your day? You had time for that. Now I get it. The text message might be, hey, I need you to send me over X amount of information, blah, blah, blah. Something that might take a lot more time than me scrolling for a little bit. 2 different things. But for the most part, I am not a fan of that. It plucks my nerves. It really, really does. I've had to tell my friends, like, they in my DM with something funny off Instagram and there's a text message that's waiting for their reply. I would respond on Instagram and be like, meet me back in the text messages. Meet me back over there in the text.
Yeah, I mean, I'm horrible at responding to text messages. I'm trying to get better at that. And a lot of times the lack of response is either, I don't know necessarily how I want to respond to it. I don't know exactly what I want to say. I like that's mainly a lot of times is I haven't made up my mind on what
What your response is.
what your response is. Like somebody could be like, "Yo, what you up to this weekend?" And I'm like, I don't really know necessarily what I'm gonna do. And then it's like I don't know if I want to do something with this person either. So I'm like need to figure out like what my plans is first before I respond to this.
Yeah.
Or what you doing next week? And it's like I don't know yet, so I might not answer.
Right.
But I'm trying to get better at responding to people immediately.
Same.
But I may have fell victim to, you might see a little green bubble by my name on Instagram if you text me. But I'm very cognizant a lot of times that like if I see something I want to comment on something on Instagram, I'll be like, let me run back to these text messages real quick.
Let me like, oh wait, they text me. Let me not say nothing back to them and go back over to the text messages.
Yeah, let me run back. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Then I go back to
ain't doing
IG,
much
like,
this weekend. Yep. I've actually done that with you where like when you message me about something, I didn't have the answer yet, but then I'm on IG hours later and I have the answer now, but I didn't remember that I need to tell you that answer until I saw you on IG and I'm like, oh
yeah.
Dre. Hey, yeah. Thursday at 5 works for me. Yeah. Sorry for the delay in my messages.
It's a good reminder sometimes. But one thing that I've started to do with people, because one thing I learned with myself is that I'm a busy person.
Yeah.
And I'll be on the go a lot. Sometimes, like, there's times I'll call you and I'll be like, I saw you text me, but the answer to that ain't really a text thing, and I'm driving, so it just makes more sense to call or send a voice memo or something like that. But I realize that I deal with a lot of people sometimes who are just as busy as me or have like even busier schedules or lives. Yeah. So I've said, like recently I text somebody and I asked them for advice about something, but I said like, this isn't urgent. Just whenever you get a chance, feel free to respond. And that was on a Friday. And then Monday, the person responded with well thought out answers and answered all my questions. But then that didn't leave me waiting like, dang, they didn't answer me back. I didn't see it. It's like letting somebody know if it's something that isn't like urgent or something. I like to sometimes do that and be like, hey, just whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, that's thoughtful. Very thoughtful.
Answer this, because
take the pressure off of
the pressure off of them and you sitting there waiting, wondering like, what's going to happen, or can you send this or something like that.
And to you killers that have read receipts on, Dre stopped using them. I'm very happy about it, just so you know.
I'd stopped, yeah.
Read receipts get most people in trouble. You wanna not have an obligation to communicate with someone, take read receipts off.
I had them, but I turned them off for one person.
So you have them on for one person?
No, I don't even know. I didn't know if you could individualize them, but
you can.
Oh.
You can take them all. You can take them off and you can put them on person.
I just turned them off for one person.
Okay.
And that's why they were turned off.
Got
but I didn't mind having the read receipts on, because if somebody knows you have read receipts on, if they don't see that it's read, then they know that you didn't read the message.
True, but see, people don't do that, right? They go in, they read it, and then they say nothing, and you're like, so you saw it. Because if it just says delivered, then I don't know if you saw it or not. And I won't know that you saw it until you acknowledge it. But if I see red 8:21 a.m. and it is now 3 p.m. and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I get a reply at some point, because they definitely saw it, because of what a phone told me you saw it. You do what you want on it. You're like, but I'm just not a fan of read receipts.
One trick with that, as we'll go to a different conversation, but one trick to that is, the thing that works is if you leave a few spaces above a message, because then it's sent but ain't nothing there. So because sometimes you could just see in the peek in the notifications and be like, okay, I see what they talking about, and I don't gotta open it.
Oh, you don't have to open it. Yes.
But if you leave a few spaces, it's just a message with just nothing. So they have to just see like, what is that? What are they?
Those things like
and you click it, and then it's like good morning or something.
It's a little trick.
It is
it's a good little trick. It's a good little trick. But yeah, I agree with her on that one. I understand why that would be a little agitating. But the only out I will give him for that is that I challenge everybody actually just to take your app. Let's say it's TikTok. Maybe it's not Instagram. Maybe your one that you go to the most is TikTok, and you know where it is in your phone. Not only do you know where it is in your mind, your thumbs know where it is too. Your
Yeah.
hands literally
Oh, for sure.
know exactly where it is. I would challenge you to move that app and then watch how your body struggles to react to that new placement of it. And if you struggle, you probably on there way too much. Okay. People get on social media because it's almost like mindlessly eating chips while you're watching a movie or
That's
popcorn.
exactly what it is.
It's like it's second nature so much now that I think sometimes people don't even realize it. It's been times where I've been on social media for an hour and I'm like,
Yo,
what the fuck?
I was just going to check my email.
I just went in here to check one message or I went in here to reply to one business inquiry because I mean, now we get inquiries through Instagram.
Yeah.
So I might have saw something or someone said, hey, I sent you something to your DM. Can you check it? I go to check the DM. On my way to checking the DM, I just seen 4 memes that I think are great, reposted 2 of them. My friend is messaging me at the moment. I go in her DM. I'm laughing with her. Then I get back out to my stories. I'm looking at, oh, they got a new story. Let me look at these. And I haven't even checked the damn DM that I went in the app to check in the first place. So it is very like haphazard and mindless in that way. So that's my only little out for him is that I don't even think he's not doing it to hurt you. Like, his hand is just like, I got a free second at work. Let me just get up. And the first thing you think to do is go where you don't really have to give a lot of energy to.
And you just watch stories.
You just watch stories. You
watch
just
stories all
in.
the time.
It's like turn the TV on, like bloop.
I would say one thing for me with social media is my Instagram app is in like a social media folder, so I don't have to like it's not thing, on the home screen. But I turn all my notifications off.
Yeah.
Only time I see a notification is if I go into the app. I don't need Instagram pinging every time, I go into the app and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe that's relative to how active your page is and stuff like that. But for me, it would be like,
yeah, no, I'm moving.
Insane.
I'm moving more and more towards that. I have my notifications dialed down significantly.
Yeah.
But I do still get some of them, and I'm probably about to take them all off. Like it's just
because we go on Instagram enough that like if it's a 2-hour gap between the last time and now, if it's an opportunity, you're not gonna miss an opportunity for 2 hours or something like that. But it allows you, even if you're using your phone for stuff, that you don't see those notifications popping up, so it's not prompting you to go to Instagram. So
So I hear you on that. But moving on to how to know really the question, which is when you're nitpicking versus expressing a preference or expressing a non-negotiable, how do you know the difference?
So I think it's the art of picking your battles. That is such a like crucial skill when it comes to relationships. Is the difference between a lot of times chaos and dysfunction and anger and frustration versus like peace, is understanding what battles to pick.
Yeah.
And I think there's 2 things that make it easy, or make you being great at that art form, or contributes to you being really good at that art form. And that's number 1 is patience. Gotta have patience.
Yeah.
When it comes to picking your battles. But I think the most important thing is you have to be able to see things from a macro perspective and not a micro perspective. And that means that you have to see the bigger picture when it comes to things and when you're looking at situations versus just looking at things in that moment. Because if you understand the bigger picture, then you understand the appropriate amount of energy or emotion to direct towards whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Because you're like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal.
All things considered, it's not.
But when you're in the moment every time and looking at it from a micro perspective, everything seems like a big thing. And it's like you'll blow up as if it's the biggest thing in the world. But then when you dial it back and look back at the totality of the relationship and everything that you want to accomplish with that person, or everything that that person brings to the table, then you'll be like, yeah, this is annoying that they do this. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
And I've learned that in my relationship. Like, there's still things that Bree and I deal with now. Well, first, let me say this.
Whenever you say, let me say this, Go ahead.
This is a PSA to all the women out there,
Oh shoot, not another women
the
PSA.
wives, the girlfriends.
Uh-oh.
We understand sometimes as men, we may make a mess. Happens. We're messy sometimes.
Happens a lot. Go ahead.
Well, let me tell you something. You are messy too. And we don't appreciate that messes are okay as long as it's your mess. You could be messy how you mess, but we can't be messy. But your messy is somehow different from our messy. You messy. You leave your stuff all over the place. You do this and you do that. What about your mess? Well, that's different. I put it back when I'm done and I wake up. Or I just forgot. That is not, it's a mess. Mess is mess.
Come back.
I'm just saying.
Come back.
Mess is mess.
Come back, friend. Come back.
Because I'm tired of it. And I know my other brothers are tired of it too. Because y'all keep talking about you messy. You messy. You messy. You messy too. I've seen the counter after you do your makeup. It's crap all over the place. It's horrible. Clean that mess up. Well, that's different.
Jesus.
That's different. There's no way I can't get all this hair all over the place when I'm blow drying my hair.
Episode is over. Dre pissed.
I just had to put that PSA out there when it comes to picking your battles.
Hey, yo.
Because
Ooh, my
we
friend.
tired.
My friend.
We men are tired of it.
Ooh, Lord Jesus.
Y'all messy too. Bree the other day left butter on the counter. Just open. Open on the counter. I'm like, what is this?
Yo, it's still going.
Like, what? You mad because my drawers on the floor, but our butter melting on the counter.
Oh my gosh. Yo. Hey, y'all. I was not ready. Obviously, I was not ready. What are we even talking about anymore? What's this topic about?
But as I said, you need to pick your battles. When you
Jesus, help me.
when you're in a relationship, you need to pick your battles.
Yeah.
And understand that some things aren't as big of a deal as you make them.
Let me show you how. Let me give you a live living example of how to pick your battles. As a woman, I know just how messy men are. And I could counter everything that he just said. I could go on a rant for a good 2 minutes, just like he did. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going
Because
to
there's
pick
no
my
need. We hear it enough.
I'm picking my battles.
I just had
I'm picking my battle. You right. And as a woman, I'm going to apologize on behalf of us. Yes, we are messy. Yes, we do. Our makeup gets crazy sometimes, especially when we got to really do something nice. You see all types of things you probably shouldn't see. Eyelashes, little piece of clipping left on the floor. I know that stuff is really triggering for y'all. Like, God damn it, this hair just, why do you have little pieces of hair everywhere? Like, I don't get it. I thought that was yours. I thought this was your hair. You said you don't have a weave, so what is this? I hear you, and I apologize on behalf of all women.
I appreciate that because
No
we
problem.
hear it enough.
Yes,
We
you
do
did.
hear it
I
enough.
believe it.
But I just had to stand up for the brothers
You
and
did.
just say that.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Y'all messy too.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. Advocate for yourselves,
It's
brothers.
a different mess.
This is very true. I don't want no smoke. I don't. Bree, I'm sorry. You got dragged on here today. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Dre sick of that shit. Whoa, Lord, I got lip gloss on my hand. Wow. Okay.
But
the
yeah,
only thing I
picking
was
your
going
battles.
to add to that is when thinking about picking your battles,
Yes.
like you said, you do need to consider all things. You need to look at the big picture. I think one of the other ways to really figure out, is this worth having a conversation about, is if this person continues to do this thing that I don't like right now, but they continue to do all the other things that I really, really like, will what they're doing chip away at those things, right? Because if it won't, then to me that says there's no need to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
Will it annoy me? Mm-hmm. Yes, but it will not actually have an adverse impact on the great things that this person does. So using an example, if my person is really flirty, and that's just who they are inherently, like they're just a natural flirt. Initially, it might annoy me, and I might not say a lot about it because, well, in the grand scheme of things, considering all things, it's not that big of a deal. I know that they don't really want that person. They really like me. But a lot of flirting, if you keep letting it happen, it could lead to more.
For sure.
Flirting can then lead to inappropriate conversations, which can then lead to infidelity. And then that starts to chip away at the other great things that you're doing. Because, yes, while you take me out twice a week and you consider my feelings and you don't dismiss me, you encourage my dreams, cheating will have a massive impact on all of those things. It'll be hard for me to really honor you and love you for that because you did such a thing that's so, betraying to me. So I think that's how you need to look at it. Morning text messages, if this goes the full distance, that probably 9 times out of 10 won't even be a thing because you'll be sharing a house.
Yeah.
And so you'll get the good mornings in your own home and it'll kind of correct itself. All the things that she listed out, which I want to say, shout out to her because I'm going to totally take that into my next relationship. Is like keep a running list of things that my person does that I really love or I really like so that when they're doing things that I don't like, I can go to that list. I can revisit that list. Like, you know what? I know I always talk about my ex who left the cabinets open in the kitchen every time he was in
Cabinet
there.
man.
Yes. I can then go to that list and be like, but the other day he ran my bath for me and then he sends me random lunch or he brings my team donuts when he's on his way to work. All these little things. It's like, I ain't about to worry about them cabinets. It's fine. Like I love that. And so I think that is how you have to look at it. If this little thing is just an annoyance, and it's not having an impact on how great they are and how great they show up in the relationship, I just don't think it's worth making it about like a heavy discussion. Like, I don't know if this relationship is going to work out. No, it might be worth mentioning initially. And then if they can't correct it or they try, but it's just unnatural to them, then just like let it go. That's just the fabric of who they are. And all of us have flaws. Some of ours are massive. Others are really minute. And you're just hoping that 9 times out of 10, your partner's flaws are minute enough for you to be like, whatever. That's just who he is.
And then you just got to think of like, it's like when you get injured, every injury has a recovery time and you don't like place a unrealistic recovery time on somebody's trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if this is something that somebody had or their preference came from, and I won't always use trauma, but if somebody had a preference based off of something they experienced in the past, even when they were younger, to think that a 2-week turnaround change on that is going to be the change is not.
It's not.
Like you got to be like, this is more of a long-term thing. So like a perfect example is Brie and I. When we first met, like I don't like holding hands. Like I don't like it. For some reason, when I was younger, it just, I don't know, makes you think it's like cheesy or corny or like something about it I don't like.
Okay.
I don't mind. I'll walk on my arm around you. Like you can put your arm around mine, like the thing. But something about holding hands,
actual holding hands.
just is weird to me.
Okay.
And Brie like really wanted to hold hands a lot, and I would just be like, I don't want to hold hands. Like that's just not something I want to do. And it's like you said, if you want to die on that hill and just say like, well, I don't think this thing could work because you won't hold hands. It's like something that she had to just adapt and be like, well, this is the person I deal with. I know it's that not that he doesn't love me or not that he doesn't want to be around me or because if he'll put his arm around me, I can put my arm around his and we can walk together, but something about holding hands he doesn't like.
Yeah.
But then as we started to go along in our relationship, I started to open up to doing that. And sometimes it'll just be like a quick, like 3-second swing. And then it just, for me, be like, it just feels weird. But I would just do it. And now it's like, I don't have a problem with it at all. But it just took time. Like I said, the recovery time of like, that's something for a long time, even when I was like a kid that I thought was just weird and didn't like it. So it's like, she had to pick her battles and say like, or am I going to throw this all away because the person don't want to hold my hand? And also understanding the recovery time and how long it's going to take for this person to actually get to the point to where they are okay with doing this and fully adjusting to it.
Yeah.
But I would say this too, when it comes to picking your battles, don't be the boy who cried wolf. And don't associate every single, like you can't associate the same pain level to every single thing, because then you will start to become discredited in your, like, not complaining or
Yeah.
bringing up things, like you'll
Yeah.
become discredited
It'll
because
lose its validity because you
yeah,
complain about every
you
single
complain about
thing.
every single
Yeah.
thing in the same way. So I don't know what's a big deal, what's not a big
Mm-hmm.
deal. And
Mm-hmm.
if you complain the same way about me not texting you good morning, or me not putting away the dishes or taking out the trash or something like that, to me being out with one of my friends who are women, to like, it's like, yo, everything has the same amount of
Energy.
energy, and
Yeah.
I don't really know, like, you just seem like everything's wrong.
Yeah. I
Like, I
can't do
can't do this.
anything right.
I can't do this. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do this no more.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you uh, assign the appropriate level of like I said, response. That's why I said the bigger picture matters. Putting forth the appropriate level of response is so important when picking your battles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one of the last things I want to talk about too that you brought up is love languages, because I feel like that's so important.
Yes.
Because it seems like hers is probably words of affirmation, but I will also say acts of kindness, because I feel like although good morning texts are words, technically that's an action to
Yeah.
just say like, I'm thinking of you.
Yes.
Whether that was a flower or a good morning text, it's a I'm thinking of you type of action. And love languages are just so important. And that's something that I had to learn in my relationship, is that, like we said before, I'm speaking Spanish and you're speaking Chinese. Don't matter how we say it, how loud we say it, how much we say it in the language that we're speaking. If we're not communicating in the language that our person receives it, they won't receive it.
Won't hear it. Yeah.
And I had to, I remember I dealt with that with Bree one time when she was just like, I'm like, I know you love me, but I just don't like feel the
like
love.
that.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, I do this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. But then I
Not how
read
she
the love
receives.
languages book, and it's like, oh, you're not doing it in the way that she receives love. You're doing it in the way you receive love.
Yes.
So although, yeah, it's loving actions, she's not receiving it. So I had to learn, like, okay, this is her love language, is more physical touch, the holding hands, the when we're sitting together, putting your hand just on my knee, or stuff like that, to where it's
Yeah.
like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me if that were to happen or not, but that is love for her. That's how she feels love, and understanding that
It's
will
really
play a
important.
big part in your relationship, because that could just be the loss in communication, is that
Yeah.
the way that you're communicating love isn't the same.
Yep. And I want to make sure people understand on the love languages is that the love languages, all of us enjoy all of them,
For sure.
but it's just the ones that matter to most. They all rank. So while gifts is last for me. That does not mean I don't like gifts, though. It's just that if you really want to show me that you love me, and for me to really get it quickly, gifts, it would not be the best option to go with. It would be words of affirmation and physical touch. So yes, I still want gifts. Those make me smile too. Those also make me feel like you love me, but probably not as quickly as you would hope, that if that's your love language. So they all matter, and you should mix them all in there, but you got to know the one that matters the most to the person. Like you said, you got to speak their language. And truthfully, some people could, while gifts might be like one on there, like the very last one, they may really not care about them at all, but you got to spend the time with them to really know that, and not try to push it on them.
For sure.
You got to hear what they're saying and open the lines of communication. We talk about that so much. Effective communication is everything. I think even in their scenario, because it's only 7 months in and they live in separate places, and he's kind of bad with phone and text communication, the part where she said he makes sure that they spend time together twice a week without her suggestion. Men are sometimes very simple in their way of thinking. And I think he probably, for the most part, feels like, I'm going to see you. One, I'm going to talk to you tonight, because he never misses that. He never misses the evening catch-ups. And then it's like, I'm going to see you on Saturday and Wednesday. So it's like, I can just do it all on those 2 days, So it's just a means of like communicating that, hey babe, like it's not that I don't think about you. Of course I think about you. Like, I really think about you. It's just that my mornings look like this for me. I dated a guy one time where I was used to, if I stayed a night at a guy's house, or like we were a couple, that we would shower together sometimes. He was like, absolutely not. Like, never, ever, ever. Like, never will you be even in the bathroom while I am in the bathroom. Like, and I was initially like, what? Like, what's the big deal? Like, I see your whole body. What's the problem? I did not know that was his spiritual time. That was when he prayed. That was when he cried. That was when he really got in touch with himself. And that was not an experience that he could have if I'm in the bathroom, let alone in the shower with him.
Same thing with Bree. Want to take showers together. I do not like taking showers. First, I'm going on a lot of. This is not a PSA.
Okay, please. One per episode if you're going to have them, please.
But taking showers together, first you got to have the right type of shower. Right. In order for it to make sense. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be having a shower, like, and then it's like one of us gonna be cold, one of us gonna be hot if the shower ain't right because we got to switch off the water. Like, I don't, like, that's my time to decompress, think about different things. I'm the same way, so I completely get that. It's not, I ain't crying in the shower, no shade to him, but like, it's just my time.
It was just such a purging for him. He felt like I was cleaning my outer body, I'm cleaning my inner body. Once he explained it all, I was like, I wouldn't even want to interfere with that because what he gets to do there makes him who he is to me, that I really actually like. And if I circumvent that, that could change who I'm dealing with. On top of that, and I'm gonna get off this soapbox about showers together. I think showering together for the most part is like for the purpose of intimacy.
Yeah.
If you both actually really get in the shower to clean yourselves, it's inconvenient. Yeah, it's really not sexy. You know what I mean? Like, I have been in the shower with my boyfriend for the purpose of cleaning ourselves. It's not, you in the front, let's say, he in the back. He on wash, you on rinse. Your mind will be blown when you turn around and you see a man washing his butt. Like, it's not cute. You know what I'm saying? It's not sexy. It's something that he should probably be doing by himself. You know, like, he digging in his navel with the washcloth, like, get all the dirt. It's like, this not cute. I'm gonna let you have this. I'll come back in here when you're done. Yeah, right. It's like, it's only for sexy time.
Yeah.
Showers together, like, for sexy
intimacy
time.
type time.
Yes,
and that's why I say it gotta be the right shower. It gotta be like a stand-up shower. The bathtub with the shower thing is always a little tough.
It's like go ahead. You go to the front.
Yeah, it's like, you need a vacation shower.
Can you hand me the shower from the shower at the top? Yeah, okay.
Vacation showers. Like,
you need vacation showers.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something a little different.
Yes.
But yeah, I hope that we answered your question.
Yes.
Did you learn something?
I hope so too. I think you have a great person, and I think you're a great person. I love your mature approach to it. And I just think give it some time. You know, it's still new, and I think some of these things will correct themselves, truthfully. Truthfully.
They'll be revealed as time goes on.
Absolutely.
And I think, like Rhonda said, as we end, like, guys, we don't be thinking about stuff as deeply sometimes. And rather you have somebody who really loves you and just like, I love you and I think about you, versus like some weird person who's like love bombing you and like overdoing it, but they really trying to manipulate you.
Absolutely.
It's like, that's why guys are so good at friendships too, because we don't be caring about nothing. It's like, it takes like something really major, but it's like, we don't be thinking that deep. You're my friend, I love you. Like, we cool, we good. Like, why you tripping? I'm fine. Like, we all good. So just take that into consideration, and we wish the best for you, Anonymous.
Yes. And if you want to write into us, if you want to stay anonymous, we cool with that too. You can go to our website at relationshiprestore.com, click the contact button. Also follow us on social. I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
At Dre Smith.
And we are doing an event tomorrow. We're hosting, we're panelists for the Love Jones Cafe. Shout out to the movement and while we appreciate you having us. I'm sure you'll see some footage of that floating, but very excited to be doing that. So I think it's actually sold out.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh shoot.
We say we was coming back strong this year. So just like that.
That is awesome.
Just like that. So we'll see you next week.
See you.